right, we'll call to order the Destin Fire Control District Board of Fire Commissioners. We're located here at 848 Airport Road, Destin, Florida, February 13th, 2018 at 5:30 p.m. This meeting is open to the public, and at this time I'd like to open the floor up to any public comments. Seeing none, I will close the floor to public comments. This time we'd like to open the floor up for a presentation of health insurance options to David Barton of Centra Insurance. How you doing, David?
Good evening, everybody. We've come up with some alternative solutions to your health insurance this year. As you know, we've been your agent for 10 plus years. We shop it every year. We don't move it. We haven't been moving it every year. We've had it with Florida Blue actually the entire time that I've been representing you guys. And we do look at United Healthcare. We do look at Aetna. We've had some issues with Aetna in the recent past of not wanting to provide coverage for your retirees. As you guys know, you have retirees that retire at a much earlier age than most companies do, so that's a challenge. The Affordable Care Act offers individual policies to the exchanges, and that has become a challenge. The policies offered now to your retirees would be substantially higher cost than they were just a few years ago. So their ability to stay on your contract as a employee after they terminate is more important now than it's ever been. We've seen increases in those rates through the exchanges, probably 100% in the last 3 or 4 years. So not as viable an option anymore. Aetna is also out of the small group arena completely now. So Aetna has pulled all their small group business, which means up to 50 lives out. So they're not even doing it anymore on a fully insured basis. And they only do self-insured or alternative funding plans. And you guys did not qualify for that. I did try to run that through them. So we are stuck with, stuck is not necessarily a good word, but I will tell you with insurance carriers, they're all good, they're all bad. It just depends on which piece of it you want to talk about. We represent all of them. We are a broker, and we just feel like it's important to represent both you guys as a company and also represent the employees and the firefighters as well. So we want to provide them a good policy, and we want to do it at a price which is affordable for you guys in your budget, okay? So we are, I guess you would say that as a broker, we are equal opportunity haters of insurance companies. So we will provide you what we feel like is the best thing you can get right now for the money for both those reasons, for you guys and the employees. So we have put together for you a little presentation. I think you guys have copies of it. We looked at the health insurance renewal with Florida Blue, and it was going to represent a huge increase in price for you guys. And there is no negotiating, so those of you that think you can negotiate with Florida Blue, you can on large groups to a certain extent, but you cannot on a small group. So there's no negotiation skills that I possess or any other broker would possess that would get the rates to stop going from $669 per person per month this year up to $790. That represents about an $11,000 a month increase for you guys as a district. And as you guys know, you pay a substantial portion of that. And so it's a huge blow to the budget. We were able to put together 3 gold plans with United Healthcare. Gold plans being under the Affordable Care Act, they actually have bronze, silver, gold. Some companies have platinum plans. There are none available through United Healthcare, and your plan currently with Florida Blue is a gold plan as well. But we've represented 3 United Healthcare gold plans for you. Picked one that we thought would provide the best benefit, and through discussions with the chief and Catherine through your HR department, we think this is the one that fits your needs the best, that actually has some benefits that are better than the Florida Blue plan. And from a price standpoint, definitely makes sense. We would go from $669 for an individual down to $650. So instead of going up $110,000, we would actually be saving a little bit of money for the year by moving to this plan. I do feel like moving to United Healthcare is scary, just like it is if you're with United Healthcare moving to Blue Cross. So there's no perfect scenario. There's going to be some of the firefighters, some of the employees that are going to be finding that their physician may not be in the network. Others will find that a physician they wanted to see is in the United Healthcare network that wasn't in Florida Blue. So we're going to have that transition. We have transitions from people that are on certain medications with Florida Blue. They have their own formulary list of the medications that they cover and what categories. And we're going to have that same issue moving to United Healthcare, where some people may not have their particular medication covered, or they may have to go through some step therapy, which just means they have to prove to United Healthcare that they've tried some other name brands or some generics. And we are a full-service agency. We will help them through that process, but it is a little bit of a process, okay? So it isn't perfect, but it is a good representation of physicians, of medications, and a plan design that we think fits very well in making a transition over at this time. So we are recommending that the Insurance Choice Plan AUW4, they don't have very catchy titles, as you can tell, would be the appropriate plan for you guys to use. And we think it's a good fit for the employees. The network is good. The department did a survey with some of your firefighters and employees, and they had a pretty good representation of your group looking for their physicians, and 41 of the 48, I think, providers that they look for from Florida Blue were in the United Healthcare network. I personally am with United Healthcare, have been through Northwestern Mutual Life, have been with United Healthcare for 15 years, never had any problems with them. It's a nationwide carrier. So if you want to go to UAB or MD Anderson or Cleveland Clinic or Ochsner's, or they're just very well represented throughout the country, not just here locally. So I'm not scared to put the fire department with them. I've had the city with them. I've had the Destin Water Users with them. I've had South Walton Utilities with them. Many major companies. The school board of Oakland County is with them right now. So it's not we're not taking a step on the far end of the branch on the tree. They're a very good, solid carrier. Okay, does anybody have any questions? You want me to go through the plan design at all? Or you just want me to shut up?
No, any particulars, dig down deep into it, or?
I remember when we had a discussion earlier with the chief and Catherine, but the co-pays, we're up $5 up.
$5 on the general practice co-pays. It went from 20 to 25, and the specialist co-pays remain the same at $50.
And I too also have United Healthcare, and I have no problem in this area. Coming from New York, I was scared to come down here not knowing, and I do, and I had never had a problem down here with United Healthcare, so I have no worries at all changing over.
Okay.
Well, I'm on Medicare now, and United Healthcare carries my supplement, and I've been well pleased with them for what I've had to use them for here. So I'm not, the company, I don't question them at all.
None at all. I've had them on and off myself. Right?
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, we just need to entertain an offer.
I'll make the motion.
Or a motion, I'm sorry.
I'll make the motion to switch to United Healthcare, rate, plan number AUW4.
I'll second.
All right, we get a motion to approve the plan AUW4. And a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, just for the record, this is the recommendation of the chief?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
No further
Is
discussion?
there, now, we've worked out some of the stuff that you and I talked about, correct, Chief, after we put the plan in place?
Well, because we're gonna be dealing with the dollars and part of the plan, it'd probably be good to discuss it here, and then it'd be part of the motion.
Well, it'd be hard to do it without any more information than what we have here, but,
David, what he's talking about is the difference between the deductible being 15 in United and 2,000, or 15 with Blue Cross and United being $2,000, and that $500 difference. And as we kind of talked a little about the minor and major diagnostics, being that they were co-pays before, and with United's gonna be part of the calendar year deductible, and kind of connecting those two together with that $500 difference. And trying to pick up on what you might have mentioned with Catherine and I about being able to kind of cover that first 5, so that way their exposure to that deductible is the same.
Right, you know, we've had in years past in here, we've had a health reimbursement account, which we were using with, in conjunction with a high deductible plan, a HSA policy. The HSA policy is a completely different animal, had no co-pays, no doctor co-pays, no medication co-pays, so you're just paying everything out of pocket on that. So that it was a necessity to have the HRA to help offset some of that cost. With what I was mentioning to the chief and Catherine, just trying to keep everybody, both the department and also the employees in good standing and making sure they understand we're still trying to take care of them. I was saying that you could utilize the HRA to have some money available for people that had claims against deductible that would go against that 2,000 available through the HRA. Because even if you had all 39, I think, of your current insureds in the plan, and you put that $500 out there in an HRA, you're still spending only the amount that you're saving by going to United versus what you paid last year. It wouldn't be really a net increase in cost. And Catherine, I'm saying that out of memory, not necessarily, Catherine can give you a better idea if that's exactly true, but it's gonna be close. If you made that available, because that's about a $19,500 exposure if everybody in the department actually used that $500. If it's not spent, then obviously you guys would keep that as a company. That's HRAs are owned by the department. So if you put the 19.5 basically in a fund for that purpose, and only 10,000 of it got spent, the other $9,500 is still the department's money. It's not the employee's money.
That's what I was kind of driving at, but the thing about it is we as a district, we set that, a budget on that, and being as this plan take, you know, it isn't as much, it saves us $38,000. But to help the firefighters out, or anybody that's insured through this, I see nothing wrong with putting the $500 deductible on the backside of their deductible and paying that last $500 for them to get this service. I mean, do you understand what I'm
good with
getting
that.
at?
Yeah.
Use the
I
same.
mean, you know, I wanna be fair with these guys.
I get, I'm
Yeah,
there.
the district's gonna save money, but we're still gonna help them if we can.
Yeah, I like that idea.
I'll amend my motion to include the offset.
And just to clarify, this would be to establish an HRA health reimbursement account for all employees for $500 per employee to be used on the last half of their deductible. So if their deductible for individual is $2,000, it'll cover the last $500 of that deductible. There would be no cards issued, it would be on a reimbursement basis, so they would have to prove that they've hit that portion. But that's something that would be worked out with Lockard & Williams is the company that we use for our HRA account. They would help, administer that. It wouldn't, come through here unless they ask for help, but that's the way that it would work. Do I hear that right, or is it?
Well, let me ask you this, why on the back end, why on the front end, pay the first 500?
Because you want to answer? I was gonna.
Okay.
Yeah, because what we're trying to do is keep them from going from 1,500 to 2,000. Well, they're not gonna go from 1,500 until they've spent 1,500.
Right.
So the last is the delta, the last 500, not the first 500. So if they actually incur $1,200, they haven't incurred any additional cost over the old plan.
But if we keep let's say, if we're saving $38,000, comes up $500 a person, why not just give it back to them and pay the first 500?
Well, we were actually, before, trying to get out of that type program.
Right. Yeah, I
That's what we
understand that.
originally
Right.
was trying to do. Now we're backpedaling and getting back into it.
Well, I feel that it's only fair though.
Yeah.
I mean, the
How much
district's
get the
saving
money
money,
back?
but
And I agree with
Absolutely.
that. I think it is fair.
Can I make a recommendation as well,
Yeah.
to tag on to this? When Lockard & Williams comes in and resets the HRA to adopt your policy that you're talking about, I think it's important that you $500 for themselves or any dependent in their family. It's not necessarily gonna be them that has the $2,000 exposure.
Yeah, I agree with
It
that.
could be a spouse or a child.
Right.
And I would also recommend that you tie it to in-network services only, or covered expenses only. Because if they use it to go out of network or, you know, for an expense that's not covered by the plan, then they wouldn't be able to use the $500. And that's also a fair thing to do.
Mr. Chairman, if it's okay, I'd like to tag in what David had just said in reference to being able to use that for not only themselves, but obviously for family, because we have quite a few that have family coverage. When we said the $500 difference in the deductible, I didn't clarify, that's $500 for single person or employee-only coverage. For family, it's $1,000 difference, and I didn't want the board not to know that, but that's the difference. One's 15 to 2,000, that's the single or employee only, and then the other is 4 to 5,
3 to 4.
3 to 4. So in Blue Cross, it was 3 for family, and in United, it's 4. So there's $1,000 difference there on that backside.
That's what I mean, and basically their deductible is gonna stay the same as it was before. We're gonna take care of that.
Well, now you're saying 500 and another additional 1,000.
Not an additional, it would not be.
Only 500 for family coverage.
Family coverage would be 1,000, and individual or single individual employee only would be 5. Now, I just wanted to clarify that because that wasn't in the motion, and when David brought that up and Catherine pointed it out to me, that was something that I failed to inform the board of when I mentioned the deductible, that there's actually 2 deductibles. There's one if you're the only one, it's the employee, and then there's the one that's for family. So it's 2 separate things. We have single guys here, or single employees that are single, they only have a deductible of 15.
But it's $500 period if they got a family or not.
No.
Is that
No.
on it?
No.
Yeah, if it's family, it would be $1,000.
Right.
If they're single
Then it's
coverage, it's 500.
Yeah, let me make a couple comments.
That keeps
on
them all relative to what it used to be.
Yeah, and it's very, it's unusual, it's not impossible, it's very unusual for 2 people in a family to hit that deductible every
And all of
every year.
Right.
Yeah.
And we still keep some of our budget what we had last year.
Right.
Yeah,
So is that dollar figure still correct, though,
yeah.
that you gave?
The
17,000
19,000.
or 19?
No, it wouldn't.
It
No,
would, it wouldn't be, but again, not everybody has families, so you're still gonna be under this $38,000.
Yeah, but if we're gonna talk numbers, I'd like to know.
You're gonna talk numbers, it's gonna be approximately 28,000.
Total. That we got to put in
Total
reserve.
exposure, but
Approximately.
you're unlikely
And that's
to
it,
spend
all,
that.
and
And the
that's
savings
it.
38,000, so we're still under.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to
I'll
know
do
that,
it.
that number we're exposed to.
I've kind of got, I'm putting that number in between what I have, I don't have that specific, it's gonna be approximately 28.
I can use round numbers and I got real close to that, so.
And then the other thing, the last thing I want to tell you about this plan compared to the last one, your maximum out of pocket for an individual on the Blue Cross plan, it was a $1,500 deductible, then they paid 20% in co-insurance, and they capped out totally at $5,000 for an individual. This plan is a higher deductible of $2,000, but it caps at $4,000.
Wow.
So they're gonna have $1,000 less out of pocket on a major claim than they did with Blue Cross.
That's great.
So,
That's good.
so I still think
Well,
this is.
So it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah. I like that.
Okay. Catherine, you got that?
Get the motion.
You'll have to revise the motion to include,
Okay, I'll revise the motion to
Family.
include the HRA card, 500 for individual,
No
1,000
card.
for family coverage.
Not a card though.
Or no card, just
the
reimbursement.
HRA or HRA
Yeah.
account.
So say it one more time, so they got it complete.
Yeah, no.
I have Bob Wagner, Commissioner Wagner is making a motion to accept the United Healthcare Plan, AUW4, as presented, adding an HRA account to fund the deductible, the back end of the deductible, in the amounts of 500 for single and 1,000 for other coverage.
Correct.
Correct. All right, then, Mike, you seconded?
Tommy.
Oh, Tommy.
Yeah.
All right, Tommy second. Any further discussion?
Good.
All in favor? All right, unanimous.
Thank you.
you, Jake.
Yes, if you don't have any more questions for me, if you don't mind if I take off, my wife's not feeling well.
Feel right ahead.
Thank you very much for coming. Thank you for coming.
I know where you live, so.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, David. All right, moving to the next presentation of September 30th, 2017 audit report by Chad Branson of Carver and Ingram. Chad, you got the floor.
Thanks. Incidentally, is normally one you guys see over here. I'm filling in, he's out of town. My name is Chad Branson. I'm with Carver and Ingram, my manager, CPA, and I've been another responsible for the audit over the past few years. Hopefully Bruce didn't have anything negative to say about me.
Oh, you're the one.
So we'll jump in. You guys feel free. I know you didn't really get much, you haven't had much time to really look over the report. As I was mentioning to the chief and to Kathy, this report keeps getting a little bit longer every year. We're up to 50 pages now, even just for a fire district. But we'll kind of hit the highlights on here, and feel free to jump in if you have any questions. You gotta kind of jump around from a different few pages. If you go to page 2 of the audit report, anytime you pick up an audit report, the opinion is always the main thing. We'll talk about the language in here, but the first paragraph says opinions. The first sentence, in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects the respective financial position of the governmental activities. That's the number one sentence that you want to see. If it's any other language, you've got a problem. That's the language that we use when it's clean. These are numbers that are presented fairly and materially accurate. We can jump over to the MD&A section. Let's go to page 4. You have the condensed statement of net position. You can see comparison. These are always good just to kind of see where you stand from prior year. 9/30/16 versus 9/30/17 total assets. You'll see there's a change of $116,222. So not a huge change there. The big change, you'll see total liabilities on the schedule. For 2016 went from 11.1 million to 8.8. And that's part of, the primary part of that is the net pension liability. We'll discuss that a little bit in the back as well. But the stock market was really well for last year and really benefited the net pension liability. We jump over to page 5, the condensed statement of activities. You'll see total revenues for 2016 was right at $6 million. Total revenues for 2017 was right at $6.3 million. Change and increase was $300,000, so that's positive. Got some positive growth there in the revenues. Total expenses, at the bottom, you'll see the change, increase. Actually, we'll just look at the net pension change. Last year, 2016, the net position changed about $257,000, whereas this year, for 9/30, let's say this year, 9/30/17 year end, your net position ended 1.2 million. So that's just a sign of decrease in expenses, increase in revenue. Your bottom line is better off for 9/30/17. So you ended the year really positive. Jump to page 7. And as I mentioned, look at right in the middle, you've got a section long-term liabilities. That's some of the big change that we saw earlier on the balance sheet. You see page 7. You'll see right there the net pension liability. 2016 was at 10.2 million, 2.3 around. Dropped down to 8.3. Net change of almost $2 million in the year. We'll look over the pension activity a little further in the back as well to kind of show that that was a really good impact. Stock market's been a little bit volatile this year. We'll see where things go, but you had a really great, strong market last year. I'll skip over the main financials, because we're gonna look at the budget actual on the back, unless there's anything in particular in the main financials that you wanted to discuss, but we can look at the budget actual. Jump to page 24. One of the key things, I always like to, if you ever look at investment stocks, the notes of the financial statements are just as important as the actual financial numbers. They give a lot of description of the activity. On page 24, new pronouncements, GASB issued statement number 75. This is something that it's disclosed in here because the very last sentence, implementation of this statement may have a material effect. This will be implemented next year. I talked with Catherine to get that. Should be talking with Foster & Foster, the actuary that calculates your, we call it the OPEB, it's other pension obligations. In the past, you have an OPEB liability on the books, but the GASB 75 has changed some of the calculations that Foster & Foster would use. They've just changed the way we'll be disclosing the notes as well. In the end, right now you have, I'm going to take a step back to the actual financial statements. Right now you have a liability, OPEB liability of, let's see, go back to page 9. You'll see on the liabilities on page 9, you have one that's called OPEB liability. Right now that's about $148,000. And I can explain the OPEB liability if you guys want more information, but it's, that may go up to maybe around $700,000-800,000. I don't know the exact number. That's going to be calculated by Foster & Foster. But to give you a brief overview of OPEB, as you guys talked about insurance, this is all related to insurance. And in the state of Florida, because you guys are required to provide insurance to retirees, those numbers that we just discussed earlier, those numbers are a little inflated by having to include retirees. If you took that pool out, then your rates would be lower. For what GASB 75 and the previous GASB, it was 45 that originally put the OPEB on the books, they're trying to capture that extra cost. If you didn't have the retirees, maybe it would have only been $400 a month. But because the retirees are in there, they're more expensive to carry. That could be bumping it up to $300, $400 a month. That's what these liabilities are trying to capture. It's not something that's truly a cash outlay next year or whatever, but it's looking to see your pool of employees. You're going to have a higher cost when they retire because the cost. There's a lot of guesstimation in those numbers. That's where the actuaries will let them calculate, not us, not Catherine, because who knows where the true cost will be in 20 years for insurance. But they use certain, GASB 75 is going to establish a leveling play field where they'll say, these are the calculations you need to use. Whether you're here or you're another city government, you all will have similar calculation formats. Obviously, your experience in numbers will be totally different, but it'll put everybody at the same level there. Let's jump back. You jump back to page 31, continuing the notes. Feel free to jump in if you have any questions on this. As I mentioned earlier, the net pension liability. You can see the total pension liability at 9/30/17 is $26.7 million. But the net position, planned fiduciary, you've got about $18.3 in cash in the pension fund, so you get to subtract that out. And the net pension liability is about $8.3 million. Flip to the next page, page 32. I like to always point this out when I go over this, because this is a really good disclosure that was added maybe about 2 or 3 years ago by GASB. On page 32, if you notice I just mentioned a minute ago, your net pension liability is $8.3 million. If you're using a 7.5% from the stock market for the pension, let's say you got only 6.5% rate of return. well, then your liability truly would be about 11.8 million. So it really depends on what rate of return you can get. If you could get 8.5, it would go down to 5.4. Right now, another disclosure that was required, jump to the very back. Let's see if it was page number. That's another required disclosure that was added maybe about 2 or 3 years ago. It's in the very back on page 44. This gives you an idea. It doesn't average the whole life, but that lets you see, 13, 10%, 2014, 12, 2015, -5. That impacts and brings those numbers back down. 2016, 10. Those are really good rates. If you were down in the 4%, 4, 5, 6 every year, and yet you said 7 over here, that'd be a big problem. So those are really good numbers to keep seeing. Who knows where the stock will be in the next year, but keep your eye on that number, because that's where these numbers back in 32 can make a big difference. But I think you guys are using a good rate at the moment and achieving the goals that you need.
You're saying we're, 7.5 is a good rate right now?
Right, based on the rate of return that you guys are experiencing. And that's where sometimes you'll see, people will use a higher rate, but if your investments aren't, if you're all in bonds and you're getting, a low interest rate return, then the numbers aren't matching. So it's crucial to make sure that you feel that your rate of return is equally what you are estimating you should be getting. That's where if you change that to, say, 6.5%, and if you were really just getting a 6.5%, your liability would go up a good bit.
But we went from 8 to 7.5 last year.
Okay, that's good, because, there's gonna be years, the stock market historically produces 7-8%. But that's, everybody's a little different on what they actually realize. But the state's been involved on that as well, on trying to say, get that number down to a number that you're truly hitting. And that's where some of these disclosures, the state's keeping an eye on those as well, to say, look, if you guys are not hitting that number, then you definitely need to be bringing it down. The more you bring it down, the more conservative you are. It makes the liability go up, but it's helping you get to the right number. Kind of the same thing in your own personal
So you're saying the more we get it down, the better it is?
The more conservative.
I understand, but that doesn't make it better.
No.
Because the more we bring that number down, the more operational problems.
Yeah.
More important that we get it right, and historically, we deliver that number.
That's the key.
pension will deliver.
That's the key,
Okay.
absolutely. That's the key. The key is making sure you hit that number.
There you go.
That's it. If you jump to page 39, it's the budgetary, budget to actual. And I know you guys see these every month in your financials. Your total revenues, budgeted, your final budget numbers were at 6.3, actual right at 6.3, so just a very tiny little variance there, not a huge difference at all. On page 40 for the expenses, total current expenditures, final budget was 5.8, but actual expenses came to 5.4, so 427,000, 741 favorable experience there. That's good. Keeping those costs under your budget, that's always a positive position to be in. There's lots of other schedules. Those were the main ones that I wanted to kind of discuss today. In the back, there's 2 reports that we put, internal control or financial reporting. Those as well, the clean reports, there's no comments in there, it's just a standard report that we have to include. I would point out to you if we had any deficiencies or anything, that's where we would put those, but we have not at this time. That's pretty much it for me, unless you have specific questions.
Did you look at our fixed asset depreciation schedules?
Yes, sir, we did.
Do you have an opinion on those, or
As far as,
seem reasonable?
yes, sir. It's a pretty low risk for governments. In the business world, you really want to try to match the depreciation because it's from tax bases and things like that. Here, they're all reasonable. If you establish a a set life. Sometimes the fire trucks, they can last 15, 20 years and depreciate those, but we don't see anything that's out of the ordinary or anything. You actually disclose in the disclosures, and show you that if it's of what the lives are that are depreciated. You guys use here, let me see, it's page
42? No.
I was going to show you the policy that you guys use is, give me 1 second. Yours in the back. Capital assets, yeah, page 22.
22.
Yeah. That third paragraph, buildings and improvements, around 30 years, and vehicles and equipment 5 to 15 years. In the 15 years, normally the vehicles, just regular routine vehicles that get driven daily, those are more like the 5 years. It's the fire trucks that aren't being used that often, that they're more like a 15-year. You guys get a pretty long life on those, on the fire trucks. So no concerns on that.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
It's a good explanation of the report. Any questions?
Nope.
Nothing.
Seeing none, just need to entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
We've got a motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion? Take the vote, all in favor?
Thanks, sir.
Unanimous
Thank
vote?
you, Chad.
I did want to say one last thing. I do appreciate Catherine and the chief. We asked for a lot of information, and they always have that ready for us. So
They do a
that's
great
always
job.
good.
Yeah, we're
They're
proud of
always
them.
ready
We're proud of
and
them.
waiting, so,
They do a great
we
job.
greatly appreciate their help.
Well, thank you for your time, too.
All right.
Hey, Chip, could we express back to Bruce when you talked to him, that's a very, very nice job tonight.
Yeah.
I will.
Thank
We
you.
may want him back.
Actually,
Just
it's
say
better than his presentation.
On the record.
Tell him Bruce who.
Thanks, Jeff.
Take care. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Gets back in order. Review of the minutes of regular meeting January 9th, 2018.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of regular meeting January 9th, 2018.
That's it.
Got a motion to approve the regular meeting January 9th, 2018, and second. Any discussion? Seeing none, call for the vote. In favor? Unanimous? Review of the financial report, January 31st, 2018.
4 months into the year, we're a third of the way through. Again, it was another quiet month, just like it was the last month. We're continue to bring in ad valorem taxes. As of today, we're just over 4 million collection. The collection rate's still a little low. We kind of got to where we needed to be in comparison to prior years, and now we're down again. So just kind of wait it out over the next month. I mean, it's all based on who's taking discounts and paying, sooner. But the collections are coming in. I'm not concerned about them. As far as expenditures, we had a few capital expenditures during the month of January, some expected, some not expected. We'll be proposing a few budget adjustments in April after we review the 6-month period. But unless there's any specific questions, it's really a quiet month.
Make a motion to approve the financial report January 31st, 2018.
Second.
Got a motion to approve January 31st, 2018 financial report and second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, call for the vote. All in favor? Unanimous? All right, moving along, old business, West End District Station. Chief?
Yes, sir. In my discussions with Commissioner Buckingham, we believe that it's moving along. We don't have a lot to report, but we think it's kind of moving along positively in reference to us being able to locate the station where we kind of discussed. And we think it's kind of moving that way. Hopefully we'll be able to report more positive news at the next meeting.
Let's discuss the appointing to the firefighters retirement trust fund.
Yes, sir. As we had, as you have in front of you, a couple of prospective trustees that have put their name in the hat for possible selection by the commission to be appointed as the district's resident trustee. Both of these candidates, prospective trustees, are residents of Destin and can be appointed by the board. I have spoken with both of these gentlemen. They're very nice. As far as speaking to them, they're both very interested in filling the position. They both feel they have quite a bit to bring to the table to help, and they have expressed a lot of interest. So I think either one would be an outstanding candidate, would make an outstanding trustee.
What do we do about the individual that is building a home in Walton County, Mr. Buser?
Yes, sir, depending upon what happens with, and that's the tricky part with the two, as I kind of expressed when I provided the information for both of them. Mr. Dutram, I found one to say it, Ms. Catherine disagrees with the pronunciation. Dutram, but anyway, he currently resides in Destin. He is in the process, and very, very early in the process, of building a home in Walton County, which means that once the house is built, he will move there. Therefore, would remove him from the board. Based upon the process, I would anticipate, as a builder and someone that's moving into the house, I'm not a builder, but he's hoping to be in there 6 to 8 months. I did not burst his bubble, but I would anticipate more like 12, probably, realistically. But either way, if we were to appoint him, he would be on the trust for, in that position for 12 months, and then would either be removed or something else done, depending upon what the situation is at the time. As in, we have had that situation come up before, where something has happened and someone has moved out, and we had a resident in the at-large position. Because everybody was happy with the trustees, and the trust was, the other trustees were willing to swap their positions. One took the at-large and the other one took the resident position. So there's ways that we can work around it if he was the one that was appointed in a year. If everybody were okay with it, it's on the trustees, and the trustees wanted to make that move, then they would first make the move, and then it would come to this board to appoint the at-large to the resident position. So there is a way to make that happen, but he does have every intention of moving to Walton County once his home is built, probably in a year. And where Mr. Rice lives in the district, bought a home 2 years ago, and doesn't have any intention of moving. Both have significant financial background. It varies a little. One's very much into investments, and as you can see, and the other one is a loan officer, banker, as some people used to call them, and works with the banking industry, has handled large sums of money and directed them. So I think both of them would be outstanding candidates with their experience with dealing with these sizable amounts. We're talking about $18 million. So I think either one would be an outstanding pick. But Mr. Rice is a permanent resident with no intention.
Does anybody on the board know any of these
I know
candidates?
Mr. Rice, very good candidate. I haven't had the opportunity to meet Mark. The only reservations I have with Mark is that he is moving, and really he'd only be there for 4 meetings. And I'm sure there's a little learning curve to that position, so
I would agree with that.
Well, I would, I like the background of you guys. I think first of all, I'd compliment chief and staff for coming up with these candidates. They're the ones that went out and found them. And we've been helpful. We haven't been nearly as helpful in the past. I mean, if you look at just the discipline of a lending officer versus an investment or wealth planner, what we need on the retirement board is a wealth planner. That's what that's all about. That's not to say that someone with good banking experience in lending wouldn't be very good, okay? But it's like, you know, not quite on target for what the role is.
Right.
So just looking at, both of them come from great positions and great companies and a good lineage and good background, but I would kind of tilt toward putting somebody in that role that is more wealth planning, financial analytical, as opposed to a lender. Not anything wrong with that, it's just we rarely have choices that are two good people to choose from, and that would be the way I would assess it. From a standpoint of what do we do, call it 12 months from now, I think if the individual comes in and performs well, and it'll be up to the board itself to do something, but they'll figure out how to keep them on the board by switching chairs or whatever else,
That's correct.
as they've done in the past.
I agree with Jeff. I agree with Jeff.
I'll agree with that too.
Could make one comment, Commissioner Moore, if you could disclose the relationship on
Uh,
record.
When they moved to town, I sold them a house.
Which other relationship?
Yeah, Mr. Rice.
I'll make the motion to nominate Mr. Dutram to the position.
I'll second that.
Okay, I got a motion and a second to approve Mr. Mark.
Is there a way to move, or roll Mr. Rice over into the other side of the retirement board for something there?
Yes, sir, we would take his name and provide his name as well as his documentation that he has provided to the trustees for them then to make it, because the trustees then will make the selection as to who they would like to fill the at-large position or the fifth position. And currently, they have Mr. Posey, and then we'll also give them, so that way they'll have a choice, Mr. Rice's. So that way they'll see both of those, and then they can make a choice based upon that. Those two.
Okay.
He could use Mark and throw it back in our lap, right?
Oh, no, well, we're not gonna provide them with
Yeah,
that.
let's not do that.
Because you're gonna appoint him, and they'll be
Yeah.
told at their next meeting
Okay.
that he's on the trust.
Okay, so we got a motion and a second to approve Mr. Dettram. Mark?
Ms. Catherine says it's judgment.
Okay. So, any further discussion? Seeing none, let's take a vote. All in favor? Unanimous. Congratulations, Mark.
I'll contact him.
We'll contact him tomorrow. Okay. And then Mr. Rice will be forwarded as
And we'll
well.
contact him as well, and let him know that we'll be forwarding his name to the trust for possible selection to the at-large
At
position.
large position. Okay. All right, moving to the chief reports, beat safety update.
Thank you,
Joe?
Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I don't have that much. We're just getting ready for the season, so all the vehicles have been received, and we're working on getting those retrofitted for the season, which starts in 25 days.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's
it's
close.
fast.
Spring's in the air, pollen's in the air, so.
It goes quick. But if you have any questions of what we've been up to, it's very boring, but.
You see any changes in Crab Islands coming season?
I went to a meeting with the sheriff's office. They do anticipate Crab Island being utilized more during spring break. Whether the weather allows for that, whether it's too cold to, that's to be determined to see, but they are thinking that they saw an uptick in that. And that because there wasn't much sheriff's patrolling out there, this is a place where kids can.
That's what I was gonna say, there's not as many cops on Crab
Drinking
Island.
underage.
Yeah, that was one.
Yeah, so that would be the big draw, so we'll see how cold and how important it is to be 19.
Drinking on the beach is one thing, drinking or pontoon boats is quite another.
Yeah, so to answer your question, yes,
Okay.
we're tracking that, we're tracking that.
No further questions? Training report.
Yes, sir, you have in front of you, you'll see that that we got in 26 hours of training each shift for the month of January. Excellent training. Guys did well, they required 20, and they put in 6 additional hours, which is great.
Okay, any questions? Inspection report?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, you have a report in front of you. Just a couple little things to go over. Catalyst Sea Glass, we have 3 buildings now that are online, so about every month we're putting another building online, so we've got 2 more to go. Panera Bread, we finalized that today, so they should be trading and getting ready to open before long. And if you've noticed the sign at the old Golden Corral, we got a old-time country buffet that's gonna be coming in there, so. Good to see a vacant building getting occupied again.
Yeah, yeah. As long as they don't sell eggs.
Is it a local company, do you know? Or is it a
I
franchise?
think they're based out of Georgia.
It's a franchise.
Franchise?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Hey, in New York.
Buffet.
They were up in Maryland.
All right, any other questions? All right, response change report.
Yes, sir, you'll see that our percentage is down for the 90th percentile. We're down to 72 as compared to last year at 80, but you'll also see the EMS is down from their yearly total of 51 to 41. We kind of have to look at what that might have caused. It could have been, where we've had more calls, and we'll have to review it. It could have been that we have some of these gated communities, and trying to reach the back of those communities takes a while from any one of our locations, but I'm not sure. We'll have to look into it to see. Then you'll see on the next page, we did 249 calls for the month of January, and as you look across for the previous years, that's actually fairly high, with the only exception being higher was back in 14. So we ran quite a few more calls than we anticipated. We hadn't normally broke 200, but we did it significantly by about 70 calls. Then our breakdown as far as the stations are very similar. It's still 66 to 34, which is about on our average. And then the call type is normal for what we have, with fall calls of 22, sick calls of 22. Those being the 2 highest, MBAs at 20. And we see that just because of where we're located, 98 does run through our district. So therefore, we do see those type of calls. I'll say as far as MBAs, we had an MBA Saturday where we had to use the new hydraulics, and they worked superb. The guys loved them. It worked excellent. They come out with the truck, no setup time, took it out of the bracket and started cutting. 2 things they did. They popped the door and started cutting the roof, because we thought we were going to have to remove the roof as well. We didn't have to remove the roof. By popping the door, we were able to slide the gentleman out. But the guys did an outstanding job, but the tools definitely are worth their weight in gold.
Is that right up here with the Jeep and a black car or something?
No, this was, rolled the vehicle in front of McGuire's. It was on a rainy Saturday. Went to pass another vehicle, hydroplane, lost control, hit the curb, rolled it over, landed on top of a Tacoma, and then it fell back on its tires, but when it landed on top of Tacoma, it crushed the roof down on it, on the individual. So kind of laying sideways in the vehicle. We popped the door and was able to slide him out. Not the best, but we were concerned we wanted to get him out as quick as possible, so we did. But wanted to say, first off, the guys did a great job there. I was there. I was there and observed. But the tools came in. They come right off the truck with the tools, pulled them right out of the bracket, and went right to work. I mean, that's a lot better than pulling the tools off, having to hook them all up, crank the motor up, and then put them to work. It did cut down all the time. So, definitely, excellent piece of equipment there on the vehicle.
Good. I see we don't have any frostbite on here. So at least get on that.
And then if we get into the pie charts with the response changes that we had, you'll see the potential. There still is a reduction of 40 calls, or potential 40 calls that we could have been. I'm sorry. Oh, this is December. I'm sorry. We do have December and January's reports here, because in December we had some issues with the county's CAD system where we couldn't review the data as we needed to, but they got that problem fixed and we're going to produce it. This is December's report. You'll see that in December we did 201 calls, potential 241, so that difference is 40 by making the response changes that we did, not going to alphas, dog locks and vehicles and skilled nursing facilities. That difference is broke down with the alpha calls in skilled nursing facilities. There were 28 and 12, 28 alpha calls, 12 skilled nursing facility calls, in which our assistant was not requested. And then you'll see they did request our assistance on 15 of those type of responses, 6 being the alphas and 9 being at the skilled nursing facilities. Our call breakdown is still, well, it's a little lower than what it was in December, but it's 64-36. And then we move into January, again, the call volume's up, the difference is interestingly the same at 40. Call breakdowns still similar, more of the alphas that we were not called to, skilled nursing facilities at 15. Call breakdowns 60-40, from medical to fire rescue calls, and we were asked to assist on 6 alphas and 2 skilled nursing facilities. If you remember, we had a concern that the requests were increasing with the response changes that EMS was making with inserting BLS ambulances, going to 12-hour shifts, and those kind of things being of a concern. So, as we said, we would keep an eye on that trend, whether or not it was going to increase. What we're seeing here with this is it has not, it went up for a small change period and it's kind of came back down. I think we'll need to continue to monitor as well as other factors. And I've been communicating directly with the dispatch chief in reference to several items that are concerned with me. One is expediting the call taking time and getting us out the door quicker. Because there's a little bit of concern with them being a little delayed in getting us out with, and it's not necessarily us, it's others as well. Before they quantify the call as alpha, given an alphanumeric designator, whether it's an alpha, Charlie, or Delta. And they seem to be a little slow in getting that out, and I'm urging them to break that, to make that quicker. So they're working on it. There's some computer glitch issues they got to make anyway. I'm pressing on that, which I think will assist, but we're also going to keep an eye on this, which comes back to how, because we don't decide, we don't make a decision what's an alpha, a Charlie, or Delta. That's not something that we do. It's not how we categorize them. We just respond based upon what is being told to it. EMS, as well as dictates to dispatch what calls they won't qualify, where, and they put it in this whole algorithm and make it come up. So I'm just going to kind of keep a little eye on that, because that could sometimes be reflective of why these numbers actually went down when they reclassify calls. Anyway, I'll report further, and we'll keep an eye on this as we go along, if I find out any additional information on it. But it definitely picked up between December and January for us.
Any questions? Overtime report?
Yes, sir, you have it in front of you there. You'll see December's as well as January's. In January, what of notice is the 3 24-hour shifts that we were covered, we needed to cover. We had a staffing issue where we needed a paramedic to come in on 3 different occasions for 24 hours. And you'll see those individuals are paramedics, and that's what that was. That was paramedic coverage for 3 different shifts. We had someone out with a medical issue that kind of put us, not his fault obviously, but it kind of put us behind the 8 ball with needing a paramedic when we'd already authorized others to be off. Other than that, it's very minor.
Any questions? Anybody? All right, moving along to new business, beach safety agreement with the city of Destin.
Yes, sir, it's an updated report. The basic language of the report, of the agreement does not change. The only thing that we see change with them has been the dates. And they've done the same, they've done the same thing that it's not what we have had in the past, where we'll have a 3-year contract with them or a 3-year agreement with them where it renews each year unless we give each other that notice. This one is a 1 year, they're kind of dropping back, and they typically do try to follow whatever the county's doing, and the county's ties down to 1 year, so they're kind of doing the same thing.
And we're still getting 100,000, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Need a motion?
Yes, sir.
Make a motion to accept the agreement.
Second.
Okay, got a motion to approve the beach safety agreement with the city of Destin and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, take a vote. All in favor, raise your hand. Mike, did you raise your?
Yes.
Oh, okay, unanimous. All right, public information officer contract.
Yes, sir. We've had an agreement with Tracy now for years at the end of the agreement that we signed with him. He's done an outstanding job for what we've asked him to do during that period of time. And we've had discussions with Tracy as into this position and what it entails, and whether or not it would be good for us to continue to move forward and maintain this position, or maybe take it in-house at this time, and then maybe in the future, look at something different. But with his assistance in setting up the Facebook page, keeping it updated, and then setting up the YouTube channel for our videos, I think that's proven to be very beneficial for us. We would like to continue to do those things, the Facebook, and we've started to take on some of that as far as postings and that thing, getting that information out to the public. And we would like to continue to work with Tracy on an as-needed basis to assist us in getting a changeover to where we bring this in-house and kind of handle it, where he's currently recording the meetings and helping us with posts and doing those things. I think we could go through a transition period. And he's acceptable of that. We've talked about whether we think it's a full-time, which we don't think so, a part-time position, or can we take what we're currently doing now in-house, and then if we need his assistance, once we have it transferred in-house, we need his assistance for anything, we can always reach out to him, and then I can handle those on a one-on-one basis, and then utilize that from our office expense funds to be able to make certain things happen throughout the year if we need it. And that would kind of be our recommendation, is that we end it, but yet we make the transition over to a more of a fixed-based system for the room, so that way we can not only record this meeting, but we record the retirement meetings, we can record other special meetings that we have, and still get all those posted with that fixed system here. And the thing with the system is just, we kind of, a lot of our staff can operate the recordings through the computer, where if we had a fixed system, not a fixed system, but a mobile system, we're bringing in, setting up cameras and that kind of stuff. Not that it takes a lot of time, but it's a little different than it is with the computer and just hitting record and everything, the equipment's already in place. So we'd like to be able to transfer over to that type of system, and then use Tracy on an as-needed basis once we kind of make that transition into that.
Is this something we need to vote on, chief, or is this just something that, I don't,
Question?
I think we voted to approve it last time.
Right, but the contract's kind of coming to an end, so you don't have to approve the contract.
You're approving the expenditure beyond your normal threshold, right? So
The expenditure beyond the contract and trying to make the transfer, yes, sir. And the only thing that would be of a capital expense for us that we need the board's approval for would be the purchasing of equipment. We initially, and we can start that process, or you can approve it. We had, as the board may remember, we received a quote from SonicClear for the equipment that would match up with the program, the audio recording program that we already have. So we would just do the purchasing of the equipment, update their program, and we can have the equipment installed. And that was,
Total cost around $6,000, $7,000 at the most.
at the most, I think outside would be $7,000 to have it purchased and installed. We have somebody locally.
Where is that company from? They're
Out of
local?
California.
Oh, they're in California.
Yeah, they're not, they're not a local company, and really it's just the equipment that we're getting from them. We have somebody local install it, maybe even CRC come in and install the equipment.
So basically, we just need a consensus then to move forward?
I mean, yeah,
Whatever you
first of
want.
all, I'd like to thank Tracy for what he's done for us.
Absolutely.
Definitely, thank you.
That's, you know, it cut down on the number of people recording in here anyway. But, I think, you know, go along with the chief's recommendation and let's get it where it's just viewed and we can, and thankfully Tracy will stay on an as-needed basis to help us out with this and, we do appreciate his help.
Thank you.
We will find funds within the budget. We're not requesting additional funding for this. We'll find somewhere to transfer it from.
It's under the $10,000 threshold, so we can make the adjustments in the budget, and I can pull the trigger on, just kind of need a general consensus that the board's okay with us moving forward with that.
So he's on board with as needed then?
Yes, sir, he is. He and I have had a couple of talks and had one just before this meeting, just to make sure we're on the same page.
Good, sounds great.
Thank Thanks again, Tracy.
No problem.
Appreciate your help.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, we're not done yet.
Oh, no,
Okay.
we still have work to do.
All right. Moving to paramedic education expenditure.
Yes, sir. I know I've spoken with each one of you, but I'm going to need some approval to, we have the good fortune to be able to put some of our firefighters in a shortened version of the paramedic program. Northwest Florida State College typically starts their paramedic programs in August. Because of the need for paramedics, and it's not just us, it's just the area itself is in need of paramedics. EMS is a prime example of that need, and they'll be putting several people, quite a few in this class. We have the ability to put several people in this class, and what I'd like to ask the board is that we did not budget for this expense to pay for any of our guys to go to paramedic school. We're paying for certain classes this year that are those that are requirements for our new hire employees, as well as opening up for all the employees to take those classes. This is not one that we have budgeted, and I'd ask the board if we could, for that 30, it's going to be about, we're anticipating 4 to 5 employees. We've already kind of reached out to them and asked some employees, are you willing to go to paramedic class if the district would be able to upfront the cost for you to be able to get there, or pay for the cost, not just upfront, pay for the cost for you to go to class. And we've gotten 4, yes sir, no doubt, and there might be a 5th. So we were looking at about $35,000 to $40,000 to set aside for the cost of this class and put 4 to 5 of our individuals in it. It's a 10-month course, condensed version, normally 18 months. So we should be able to turn them around in about 12 and be able to put them to work. So I'd just like to get the board's approval to make that happen.
I'll make a motion to make that happen.
I'll second.
No, question.
Questions, yes,
Got
sir?
a motion.
Last contract we got,
Got a motion and a second?
Second, yeah.
Okay.
Discussion.
the last contract we got, we voted to get rid of it, but we didn't anticipate only having 9 guys now.
Correct.
Was it last contract, right? We took it out of the budget, now we're gonna put it back in. So I think we need to talk about it, but I understand the need for it, we really do need it, and I don't have a problem with it, but I'm having a problem with taking it out of the budget, not putting it back in 2 years later. But again, the need wasn't there when we did the budget process. We thought it was unnecessary. We were kind of wrong. We do need it, and we do need to fund it, because we do need the paramedics. So I am in favor of it, but it's just the idea of taking it out and putting it back in. But because of the short-sightedness, I don't know if it's short-sightedness, but the need is there for the public, so we have to do it.
Chief, how many firefighters relinquished their paramedic?
4, right? 3, 4? I think it's 4.
Well,
Okay.
there was probably 4, yes, sir.
Okay, make this a little.
Actually, there was more than that, but yes, sir, 4 is
They
good.
don't get paid the paramedic incentive then?
That's correct.
How much is that a year?
That's $5,000 additional dollars.
That's
There you go, there's
$20,000
$20,000.
right there comes back to
There
that.
you go.
Yeah, good guy.
Easy man.
So, I mean, it's not rocket science. We gotta have them, and if not, we're gonna end up getting paramedics in here and putting them on the trucks with these guys.
Yeah.
One way or the other, it's gonna happen.
Now, we're gonna get some guarantee that if they go through the course and they pass, how long they gotta be a paramedic, pay back if they leave or turn it back in. So we're gonna get all that.
I think that needs to be a requirement on them attending the course, because, you know, with people turning it in, if we're gonna spend, you know, $700 to $7,500 for them to attend class, I think we need some kind of assurance that they'll continue to perform as a paramedic for a period of time, if not for quite a while, or reimburse the dollars. Anybody receiving it that's going to operate as one, I don't think it's going to have a problem with
I
it,
don't see
because
that happening.
they're taking it on because that's what they kind of want to do. And I think they're going to do it for a period of time, because I think it takes a period of time to kind of figure out whether or not, if you decide, as some have, that this isn't really my bag to do this, it's not going to be right away. It'll be over a period of time. So I don't think it'll be in a rush. I don't think they get certified and then a year later go, I don't want to do this. I think it's going to take longer than that, because it just takes a break-in period too. When you first become a paramedic, you get comfortable with performing those skills.
Chief, what is the percentage of people not passing the test for being paramedic?
With this group, actually, I say with this group, I say this group, I meant with Northwest Florida State College, they have a pretty high success rate of their paramedics passing, one, the program, and then two, the certification test through the state, or it's a national certification test. They have an outstanding rate.
Since we have
Well,
the best in the district, so we have no problem.
Captain Anderson, if he has an audience, I'll ask him to answer that, as he's one of their instructors, and he'll probably give you that percentage off the top of his head, what they're, because as an instructor, that's important to you. I know, because I used to teach a minimum standards class.
Put you on the spot.
You are judged, as an instructor, you are judged by how well your students do in those state certification tests. If they perform poorly, you might not have a job for very long. If they perform well, you can continue to have a job, kind of thing. So it does kind of borderline along that. So I'm sure he knows that number, as I did mine when I was an instructor. So I can assure you. Captain Anderson, what's the percentage?
It's pretty close to 100%.
Very high.
That's very good.
So I would, and, no, I'll keep that comment. No, I was gonna say something with EMS and some paramedics, but I think all of our guys do really well, and every one of them will pass. Those that have said that they would like to go, those individuals, I know well, and I have full confidence in them, their ability to get it done.
Well, what I remember, all the ones that have taken it's always passed it, our,
Yes,
out of our guys, so.
yeah. Well, we had one pass it once, but he's just an individual that has problems with tests in general, but the second time passed it.
I like it.
I'll make
All
the
right, we
motion.
got a motion and a second. So, any further discussion? All in favor? Make it happen, Captain.
I like it.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'd just like to say something. You know, my father passed away last week, and I just want to thank everybody for their support, the flowers, the attendance to the visitation and the funeral, so I greatly appreciate it. My mom greatly appreciates it as well, and meant a lot to me, so I appreciate it.
You did a good job, by the way. You did a
Thank you.
great job.
Thank you, thank you. He was a good man.
That was a very difficult time for you, I'm quite sure. And
You know it was.
I wanted you to know that you actually did a really good job. And you moved a lot of people.
I've heard from many of people. You moved a lot of people.
Yes, you did.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Anything else from the board? Seeing none? Well, wait, one other thing. Regular meeting will be March 13th, 2018 at 5:30 PM. And we're adjourned.